श्रीवत्सवंश कलशोदधिकौस्तुभस्य श्रीवासराघव गुरोस्तनयं ततश्च विद्या अवाप्य विबुधोत्तमतां दधानं कुर्वे सदा हृदि गुरुं करुणाकराख्यं लक्ष्मीनाथ समारंभां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोर्रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये मातापिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वय भट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसार कुलशेखर योगिवाहान् सॉरी भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणु परकाल यतीन्द्र मिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुश मुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यं श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्यः कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि. Today we are going to look at the story of Tiruppanalvar. We were looking at some examples of what happens when you have a guru. You need a guru. For you to get a guru, 6 things should come together. We saw about that. We have seen about Shishya Lakshana even before that. After you have Acharya Prapti, we said it is not just enough to have Acharya Sambandha. It is necessary for us to show bhakti, perform Sharanagati and so on. There are times when the Acharya himself performs Sharanagati on our behalf. But are we going to be fortunate enough to deserve such a kind of a situation? Is something that we should think about. Now we are going to look at the story of Tiruppanalvar. Tiruppanalvar, as per the Guru Parampara Prabhava, as per the records that are traditionally maintained, he was born in 2760 BC. He was born in Kartika Masa under Rohini Nakshatra. And he is considered to be an Amsha of Shri Vatsa. Shri Vatsa is a Chinna that is there on Bhagavan. It is a mark that is visible on Bhagavan's body. That is also believed to be a Nitya Suri. So, Tiruppanalvar was an Amsha of Srivatsa, and he was a poet right from the time of his birth. As it is said in Divya Suri Charita, Atha Tatra Kulentime, Antime Kule, it is said, he belonged to the last Kula. The word Kula here refers to Vamsha, or rather Varna. Let us not take it as Vamsha, take it as Varna. Antima Varna, the last Varna. He was born in the last Varna. Now, which ones are the Varnas? Normally we talk about 4 Varnas: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. But in the context of Prananatha, we say that he was not even in the 4th Varna, he was even beyond it. He was born as Srivatsa's Amsha. From birth itself, he was a very great poet. He had a very natural talent for composing poems. He would compose poems and songs. From childhood itself, he had this capability that His poems would be the very best. His songs would be the very best. And what kind of poems and songs would he compose? He would compose only about Bhagavan. So it is said, Nachakara kadapi rodanam Bhagavannama padani kirtayan. From the time he was born, he never ever cried. Nachakara kadapi rodanam Bhagavannama padani kirtayan. He kept reciting and singing the names of Bhagavan. And this is how he was spending his life. Every day, he would perform stutis of Bhagavan, pray to Bhagavan. In his mind, he would pray. Which Bhagavan? He prayed to Ranganatha of Sri Rangam. Specifically, we are referring to the Archa Murti here. We have seen about the types of avatars before. Tirupanalvar focused on the Archavatara of Ranganatha and singing praises of Ranganatha. He was spending his time. His bhakti was always stable. In life, many times we see that there are ups and downs. Sometimes some happy things happen. Sometimes not so happy things happen. There are times when people lose bhakti, they lose faith in God. Sometimes the faith decreases. People start thinking, is he there? It would be nice if he is there, but I don't know if he is there. People keep thinking so much. Had he been born into a traditional Brahmana family that had been continuously praying to Bhagavan, it would have been no surprise that he was also very devoted. But we should remember that we are not talking about modern times. We are talking about ancient times when people of all Varnas were equally devoted to Bhagavan. Of course, not everybody was devoted to Bhagavan. But those who were devoted, their devotion was not segregated in terms of Varna, and they did not bother much about the situation that they were in. Tirupanalvar, in this case, is an ideal example. He had a sthira bhakti. His bhakti was so stable. With this stable bhakti, he had pleased Bhagavan. And Bhagavan also used to listen. Along with Mahalakshmi, Bhagavan used to listen to the song sung by Tirupanalvar. Ranganatha loves bhakti. We have seen Bhavagrahi Janardanaha. We have seen Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho. So what was our Tirupanalvar doing? He was doing Kirtana. It is an authentic form of bhakti. So once Lakshmi Devi, on listening to the songs sung by Tirupanalvar, how was Tirupanalvar singing? He would wait till late night. Then he would go to the southern bank of Kaveri River. At the southern bank of Kaveri River, he would go. Of course, you must be aware that Srirangam is an island that is in between two branches of Kaveri River, right? So, from a distance, he would go and he would sing the praises of Bhagavan. This is what he used to do. And Bhagavan used to enjoy. He enjoys no matter where you sing from. So once Lakshmi Devi, she told Bhagavan, it's a beautiful shloka in Divya Suri Charita. Kamala Madhuram Nishamya Tatkalitam Geetimuvacha Ranginam. Kamala, that Lakshmi Devi, on seeing the sweet songs of Tirupanalvar, she told Bhagavan Ranganatha, Nayagayaka Mantarangatam iti hridyam vihitaspadam bahihi. She said, look, he is singing so well, yet he is not singing along with the usual group of singers, the usual group of devotees who are there near the temple. They all belong to different varnas. He belongs to a varna that is considered to be lower by the society, and therefore he is staying away from the crowd. And from a distance, he is singing. But he is your bhakta. Bhagavan will not discriminate in this way between bhaktas. As it is famously said in Bhagavad Gita, in the 9th chapter, 32nd shloka, Krishna says, Mam hi partha vyapashritya ye pisyuh papayornayah striyo vaishyasthatha shudrah te piyanti parangatim. By surrendering to me, O Arjuna, everybody, be it those who are sinners by birth, or be it otherwise, those who are not sinners by birth, even those who are sinners by birth, even those who are women, even those who are Vaishyas and Shudras. Why? Because the society thinks man is superior to woman. Kshatriya and Brahmana are superior to Vaishya and Shudra. Krishna says, no, no, don't think that way. If they surrender to me, te piyanti parangatim. They also attain paragati. That is how Bhagavan sees everybody, right? He does not discriminate. Yes, Varnashrama Dharma is there. Varna Dharma is there. That is mentioned. But that does not imply that one is superior to the other, or that even to show bhakti, you have to compulsorily be very far away, that you can't even come anywhere close to the temple. If you are a bhakta, you have all rights. We see this happening even today. Tirupanalvar is celebrated in what we call as Munivahana Bhoga. In Chirkur Balaji temple, it is very famous. They have been doing this celebration since several centuries, since long. Every year they will do it. But what exactly do they do? What happened? We will see. So Lakshmi Devi told Bhagavan, he is very dear to you. He is singing so beautifully. He is a pure devotee. Yet he is outside. He is not nearby. He is outside the goshti that is singing. Make him an insider. He is not fit to be left outside because he is a pure devotee. In this manner, Lakshmi Devi told Bhagavan. Why should Lakshmi Devi tell Bhagavan? Does Bhagavan not know by himself? Does he really need Lakshmi Devi to tell him? It is not like that. But the Divya Dampati, this divine couple, they always play Leela in such a way that Lakshmi Devi showers motherly affection. What she does is called Purushakaratva. She recommends us to Bhagavan, and Bhagavan gives us blessings. So, does it imply that if she doesn't recommend, Bhagavan would never know that we are worthy of it and things like that? Not so. Bhagavan knows everything, and he is already perfect. She also knows everything. She is also perfect, but they play it out as Leela. So Lakshmi Devi told He is not fit to be outside. Therefore, bring him inside. And Bhagavan never says no to his Devi. He said, yes, we will definitely do it. Now, there was a person called Lokasaranga. He was a sage. They called him Shri Lokasaranga Muni. Sometimes they called him Munindra. He was not just an ordinary person. He was not just an ordinary Brahmana. He was a sage, and he was a great sage at that. In Divya Suri Charita, it is mentioned that way. Satatastwiti Lokapurvakam Prati Saranga Munindram Abravit. Saranga Munindram. So, Lokasaranga was a Munindra. He was a very great sage. What did Bhagavan tell him? Bhagavan said, bring him to the temple. He is there outside. Carry him on your shoulders and bring him for darshan into the temple. Before this, what exactly happened is not mentioned in Divya Suri Charita. But there are a number of other sources that talk about it. They say they say that once Tirupanalvar was singing such a song, he was engrossed in bhakti, thinking about Bhagavan. Lokasaranga Muni, he was going to take a bath. At that time, he saw Tirupanalvar and he told him, you are in the way, move so that I can go. But the Alvar did not listen. The Alvar did not listen because he was too busy thinking about Bhagavan. He was too busy thinking about Bhagavan. Tirupan Alvar used to carry a veena with him. He used to carry a veena with which he used to make music that would match the songs. So, this sage thought, he is in my way. I have to tell him to move. I don't know if he is pure enough. I cannot go and touch him. At the same time, I don't know if I will be able to do my work on time if I keep waiting for him to move. I cannot hurt him either. It is wrong as per the Shastras. Just because he is there standing, and just because you are a sage and he is a very ordinary person, does it mean you can harm him? It is wrong. So, what the sage did, he took a piece of stone and he threw it towards the side of the Alvar. Remember, he threw it towards the side of the Alvar. He had no intention of hurting him. But the stone accidentally hit the forehead. It hit the forehead of Tirupal Alvar and he started bleeding. Suddenly, he came back to senses. He understood that there is a person standing in front of him. He understood that he had to make way. He immediately made way. He did not think much about the injury, but he came back to his ordinary senses and he moved away. Lokasaranga Munindra, after taking bath, he went to have darshan of Bhagavan. When he went and saw Ranganatha, he saw that it was bleeding. Blood was flowing out of the forehead of Ranganatha. And he is a sage. He immediately understood, okay, this is a great sin. He kept thinking about it. That night, Ranganatha came in the dream of Lokasaranga Mamuni. And then he told this. What? He said, that person whom you met today, he is a very great bhakta of mine. I do not consider my bhakta to be at a level that is inferior to me. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that the devotee is dear to him beyond the description of words or beyond imagination. There is limitless dearness that Bhagavan shows to his devotee. Atyartha Priya. So, being Atyartha Priya, this Tirupanalvar, he deserved to get darshan. Bhagavan told Lokasaranga, bring him on your shoulder so that we are able to listen to his song from nearby. Now, sage Lokasaranga, he immediately understood, okay, this is the equation. He is a great bhakta, and honoring bhaktas is itself a very great honor for another bhakta. So he immediately went to the southern side of the Kaveri river, where our Pananatha, Tirupanalvar was there, where he was playing the veena and singing songs. He said, I want to carry you on my shoulders and take you towards Bhagavan. Please get on top. But Pananatha was not willing. He asked, what are you saying? I am from such a different community. I am not allowed near the temple premises. I am not supposed to even dream about such things. You want me to enter the temple? That too on top of your shoulders. How can I get on top of your shoulders? This is totally inappropriate. Please don't compel me. I don't want to do it. But Lokasaranga did not listen. Lokasaranga, his another name was Shuka. So this sage, Lokasaranga, he took Tirupanalvar forcefully. He pulled the feet, he kept it on top of his shoulders, he clutched onto the legs of Tirupanalvar very firmly, got up, and very quickly he took him towards Ranganatha. Because when Bhagavan has given the command, you have to follow it. Correct? He took him that way. Everybody there was seeing what is happening. What is happening? At that point of time, as he was being carried towards Ranganatha, as he was being carried towards the temple, Tirupanalvar, he started meditating on Bhagavan again. As he is going closer and closer towards the temple, he is thinking in his mind, he is contemplating about Bhagavan. Contemplating about Bhagavan, he composed 10 verses that described Bhagavan, Padadi Kesha, from the divine feet, from the lotus feet, till the Mukuta that was worn by Ranganatha. So He composed 10 verses, which we celebrate even today. Tirupan Alvar, among the Alvars, we know that each one had contributed to what we call as Divya Prabandham. Tirupal Alvar's work is very small, just 10 verses, thinking about Ranganatha. So it is only a single Divya Desha that has been focused on, and just 10 verses. But the greatness of his composition is very great. So the first verse that he sang was about the feet of Bhagavan. Then he started describing the body of Bhagavan. He describes the cloth worn by Bhagavan. He describes the jewelry. He describes the Nabhi from which Brahma came. Bhagavan is called Padmanabha, correct? In his Nabhi, in his navel, there is a lotus that springs out. It is from this lotus that Brahma was born. So all of that, even now, if we go to Ananta Padmanabha Swami temple in Kerala, we'd be able to see Brahma coming out of Vishnu. So he describes all of that. He describes the chest of Bhagavan, the lips of Bhagavan, the eyes of Bhagavan, Pundarikaksha, as we call him. He described all of that. After that, he performed Saštanga Namaskara to Bhagavan. And that was it. His story ends there. He was accepted by Bhagavan and he went to the supreme abode of Vaikuntha. What does Tirupal Alvar teach primarily? He says very simple things. He says this Ranganatha, this Bhagavan Vishnu, he is the supreme being. Yes, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava. Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita, I am the Lord of all. Mattas Sarvam Pravartate. So he is the supreme. He is the Lord of all. Bhutanam Ishwaropi San, he has said, right? Bhutanam Ishvara. He is the controller of all. So Bhagavan is the supreme being. He is Paramatma. Therefore, what should we do? We as Jivas should desire to attain his lotus feet. How do we do that? We do that through surrendering to him, through Sharanagati. So, surrendering to the feet, lotus feet of Bhagavan, to attain those very lotus feet of Bhagavan is the message conveyed by the Alvar. The 10 verses that he composed, we call it as Abalanagpira. And although they are very small, they are very, very profound. Swami Vedanta Deshika in Manipravala composed a commentary on these 10 verses. It is called Munivahana Bhoga. In Munivahana Bhoga, Swami Vedanta Deshika brings out the extent of devotion that the Alvar had for Bhagavan. What is the extent? It is infinity. And Swami Deshika also praised Tirupan Alvar in his Prabandhasara. So Swami Deshika says this Amalanadipiran, it appears to be very simple. It is just 10 verses, but it is the essence of the infinite Vedas. Anantavai Vedaha, we say. The Vedas are infinite, they are endless. But these endless Vedas, what do they teach at the end of the day? What do they teach? The final message of the Vedas. It is what we call Vedanta. It is what we call the essence of the Upanishads. What is the essence of the Upanishads? We say Bhagavad Gita is the essence of the Upanishads. Correct? Sarvopanishado gavo dogdha gopalanandanaha partho vatsa sudhir bhokta dugdham gītāmritam mahat. Dugdham gītāmritam. Sarvopanishado gavaha. If all the Upanishads are cows, then the milk of the cows is what is Bhagavad Gita. And what is the final message of this Bhagavad Gita? It is expressed in the final chapter by Bhagavan. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam raja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam raja. Why does he say mam ekam sharanam raja? Because he is Paramatma. You go to some Indra or Chandra, what can they give you? Hmm? There was a snake called Takshaka. This is in the beginning of Mahabharata. How does Mahabharata begin? It begins with Janamejaya performing Sarpasatra. So Janamejaya was a king who was inquiring about the death of his father. His father was Parikshit. Janamejaya wanted to find out how Parikshit had died. His ministers told him he died of snake bite. Which snake killed him? Takshaka killed him. Janamejaya decided to take revenge. He called the best priests and he said, I want to perform. I want to perform a ritual where all the snakes are killed. To perform that ritual, one great Brahmana came. He was of Kashyapa Gotra. When he was on his way, Takshaka tried to stop him. Takshaka tried to show his powers to scare that Brahmana. Takshaka burned a large tree with a large number of branches. As a matter of fact, there was a woodcutter sitting on one of the branches. Takshaka, with his poison, he burned the entire tree. That great Takshaka who burned an entire palace with his poison during Parikshit's days. Can he not burn a tree? He burned the tree. But this Brahmana, with his powers, revived the tree with his mantras. Seeing him to be so powerful, Takshaka said, okay, let me do one thing. I will pay you more money than what Parikshit is paying. You go back. So, in those days, the Brahmanas were so powerful because they followed the rules and rituals properly. Sometime later, what happens? Oh, sorry. The Brahmana, the story that I just mentioned, that is of the Brahmana who had come to protect Parikshit Maharaja, if I am not wrong. The Brahmana who was coming to protect Parikshit Maharaja was sent away by bribing by Takshaka, and Parikshit died eventually, as was the curse on Parikshit that he has to die in 7 days by snake bite. Now Parikshit had died, Janamejaya had come. But there were such powerful Brahmanas available. What did Janamejaya do? He called powerful Brahmanas to perform the ritual. And they recited the mantras. Takshaka, knowing from his past experience of the capabilities of these kinds of brahmanas, he went and hid. What did he do? Why are we even talking about Takshaka and Parikshit and Janamejaya? We are talking about it because Takshaka went and did a Sharanagati to Indra in a very peculiar way. Indra is sitting on his Simhasana. Takshaka wounds himself like a coil around one of the feet of the throne of Indra. So Takshaka is coiled around one of the feet of the throne of Indra. And Indra will never get up from his throne. Indra Simhasana will never move. He will never give up his Simhasana. Takshaka thought, I will be safe. Because if somebody has to move me, they have to move Indra. Takshaka knows from his past experience. I know a great Brahmana came who was more powerful than me. He could have saved Parikshit. I had to bribe him to send him away. Now I cannot bribe. This person is going to start the yajna and I am going to end up dying in this Apasarpa Yaga. But let Indra protect me. So the priest there, he is performing the yajna. He says Takshakaya Swaha. Nothing happens. Takshaka is pulled, but Indra Simhasana protects him. The priest then said, Sendraya Takshakaya Swaha. He said, bring Takshaka, but also bring Indra. So bring Indra and Takshaka both. He invoked the names of both of them. Now Indra himself started flying. He doesn't know what is happening. All of a sudden, Indra is flying. Indra held on to his Simhasana. The Simhasana also started flying along with him. The snake has very tightly coiled around the Simhasana, and the snake is also flying. This is what happened during the yaga of Janamejaya to get rid of all the snakes. Why do we talk about this story? To say that Indra, who is celebrated as the king of the Devas, Indro Mahendra Suranayakova, as he is praised, that Indra could not protect Takshaka. But we see other stories. There are snakes that were protected by Bhagavan. Vishnu was able to protect a snake from Garuda. So, in front of Bhagavan, nobody else can grant us protection. Svai rakshati rakshakaih ki manyaihi, says Deshika. When you are there to protect us, when protection is granted by you, then why will we be protected by anybody else? Or how will we be protected by anybody else? There is no need, right? But if you are not protecting, then who can protect us? Nobody can protect us. Vaicha rakshati rakshakaiki manyaihi. So, as Deshika has rightly said, we understand that Bhagavan is the supreme protector. When he is there to protect, we don't need any other person to protect us. Therefore, Sharanagati is ideally done only to him. So, the very essence, in Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna says, Mam ekam sharanam raja, he implies don't go and perform sharanagati to others. Indra can give you only so much. Chandra can give you only so much. They are all jivas at the end of the day. They are also subject to birth and death like you. What can they give you? Krishna has said, Yajante Satvika Devan. Correct? In the 17th chapter. Yajante Satvika Devan Yaksharaksham Rajasaha. प्रेतान् भूतगणान् शान्ये यजन्ते तामसा जनाः. Krishna has said Sattvic people worship devatas. But do all Sattvic people attain moksha? No. All Sattvic people do not attain moksha. They need something more. What is that? Remember, we had seen before, Jayamanam hi Purusham Yam Pashyen Madhusudanaha. Sattvikas Sattvikaha Savai Mokshartha Chintakaha. So, the person who is having Vishnu Kataksha, Vishnu's Jayamana Kataksha, that person is not just a Sattvika, he is also a Vigneya. Vigneya is a person who has Vishesha Jnana. He has the Jnana of Artha Panchaka. He has the Jnana about Bhagavan. And therefore, he tries to attain Bhagavan. Savai Mokshartha Chintakaha. He always thinks about attaining moksha and tries to take attempts towards that. Correct? So being sattvic is not enough. If you are sattvic and if you are worshipping some devatas, that need not necessarily grant you everything. But if you worship the Paradevata, the supreme deity, he will give moksha. Indra can only give Indra Loka. Chandra can only give Chandra Loka. Surya can only give Surya Loka. But that Vaikuntha, which is the supreme abode, as we say, Vaikunthe tu pare loke, Shriyasardham Jagatpatihi, Aste Vishnu Rachintyatma, Bhaktair Bhagavatais Saha. So Vaikuntha is the Paraloka, it is the supreme abode. That is granted by Vishnu. And if we want to attain it, what should we do? Mamekam Sharanam Raja, said Krishna. That is the final message of Bhagavad Gita. That is the final message of the Upanishads. That exact same message has been presented in, sorry, that exact same message has been presented in just 10 verses by Tiruppanalvar. So, whatever he has composed is indeed the very essence of all the Vedas. We say Divya Prabandha is the essence of all the Vedas, right? Divya Prabandha in 4,000 verses, whatever it is teaching is already the essence of the Vedas. In Divya Prabandha also, Tiruvaimuri is the essence of Vedas. This Tirupavai is the essence of Vedas. We keep saying it. Tirupavai was 30 verses. This is 10 verses. So, this message of Tiruppanalvar is the ultimate message. Why do the Alvars again and again? Like Andal taught Sharanagati. Alvar taught Sharanagati. Poigai Alvar also taught the same thing. Everybody is teaching the same thing. Everybody says he is Paramatma. You show bhakti to him. You surrender to him. Everybody says the same thing. Again and again, Bhagavan said one Alvar after another to teach us the exact same thing. Why? Because it is the ultimate message. Why is no Alvar taking birth today? After sending Alvars, he sent great Acharyas. So great Acharyas have come, they have also taught us the same thing. And we are following it and we are learning the works of Alvars also. And therefore we are moving forward. So this is very, very important for us. He was there on the banks of Kaveri, on the southern side of Kaveri, looking at Srirangam, the Gopuram from far away and singing. What did Bhagavan do? Bhagavan pulled him. He said, he is a great bhakta. He might be standing away from me, but I will pull him. I will make sure that he comes to me. That is the compassion of Bhagavan. You think you are unfit to attain him. You think You are a sinner. You think Bhagavan will not accept you. But what does Bhagavan think? Oh, he is a sinner. Then it means he is fit for my forgiveness. Oh, he thinks he is unfit. Look how humble he is. I am pleased by his humility. Whatever we consider to be disqualifications that prevent us from going towards Bhagavan. Bhagavan thinks each one of those disqualifications is in reality a qualification. Bhagavan thinks each one of our disqualifications is a qualification because of which we have all the rights to go and try to attain Bhagavan and attain him as well. So, this story tells us a number of things, right? The community does not matter, only bhakti matters. And when you have bhakti, even if you don't take the effort to go to Bhagavan, Bhagavan himself will pull you. Bhagavan never forgets his bhakta, and Bhagavan never leaves his bhakta. He will always do the very best to bless the bhakta. That is how Bhagavan has always been. And that is how he is going to be as well. He is ever consistent. We saw in the story of Tirupanalvar today that he had sthira bhakti. He had a very stable, unchanging level of bhakti. We see the same thing with Bhagavan. He reciprocates to the bhakta in the same way. So when there is a bhakta who is displaying bhakti, Bhagavan reciprocates to it. And Bhagavan is also always sthira. He doesn't change. He is always supremely compassionate, waiting to give us a good thing. He is waiting to get an opportunity to help us. Remember? Vidhi parinati bhedat vikshitaste nakale guru parishadupajñam prapya gopayati swam. Correct? So Bhagavan is waiting to help us. He was waiting for a chance to help Tirupanalvar. And he got the best chance. He got the chance. He immediately helped him. What do you mean by Bhagavan getting the chance to help? Does Bhagavan even need any chance to help? Can't he help directly? Can't he help instantly? He can help instantly. Seeing Tirupanalvar to be the best kind of bhakta, he could have granted him moksha much earlier. Why did he not give? Because he also has to be fair. He has to show some fairness. Okay, what fairness are you talking about? He is a Nityasuri. Yes, but the Nityasuri who is born also has a purpose, right? If you are saying he is an Amsha of Srivatsa, let him be an Amsha of Srivatsa. There is a reason behind his birth. There is a purpose. The life of each and every Alvar is a message for us. Some Alvars lived long, did lots and lots of things. Some Alvars, their stories are very short, they are very small. Yet, they are very important for us. So the story in Divyasuri Charita, if you see, in the 7th chapter, you can see the story of Tirupanalvar. The entire story itself is presented in just 11 shlokas. Not very big. And whatever he composed is also 10 verses in Tamil. That is also not very big. Yet, it has such great significance. Like the squirrel that contributed to Rama. Is that how we should take it? The squirrel had great bhava. And therefore, even though its contribution was small, Bhagavan accepted it. No, perhaps we should not compare the contribution of the Alvar with the squirrel. The squirrel had great bhakti towards Bhagavan. When Rama was building the bridge, the squirrel came and helped him. Right? But if you look at the contribution of the squirrel, it was not much. It is the bhakti bhava that Bhagavan reciprocated to. Whereas In the case of the Alvar, his Bhakti Bhava was also perfect, and his contribution, though small, is very, very important. It is very prominent. It is not insignificant. Just 10 verses, but very, very significant 10 verses. The Sharanagati Shastra is so significant. Every day, we Sri Vaishnavas, we recite three mantras. One is the Ashtakshara mantra. We are given Diksha. When we are given Pancha Samskara Diksha, we are taught three mantras. One is Ashtakshara, one is Dvaya, and one is Charama Shloka. Charama Shloka is Sarvadharman Pratyajya, that one, Gita Charama Shloka. Ashtakshara is interpreted by our great acharyas as an implication of Sharanagati. Dvaya is an explicit statement of Sharanagati. Charama Shloka is where Bhagavan himself asks us to do Sharanagati. So what are we doing? We are reciting mantras that remind us about Sharanagati. They recite about Sharanagati in so many different ways. So, for example, we recite Nyasa Dashaka of Swami Vedanta Deshika. Nyasa Dashaka, which is recited by us every day, that also talks only about Sharanagati. As a Sharanagata, talking to Bhagavan, performing Sharanagati towards Bhagavan, how does the Sharanagata communicate to Bhagavan? He will say, I surrender to you. You are everything for me. There is nothing other than you. You are the only protector. You are the most compassionate. Please remove my sins. Please accept me. Only you can grant me moksha. The bhava of a Sharanagata. That is taught by Swami Vedanta Deshika in Nyasa Dashakam. Swami Deshika had composed three works on Nyasa. Nyasa Dashakam, Nyasa Vimshati, and Nyasa Tilakam. All the three talk about Sharanagati. So Sharanagati is extremely important. Sharanagati Shastra is the most important Shastra in Vaishnavism. That is why again and again we keep stressing on it. We keep talking about Sharanagati, Sharanagati, Sharanagati. That is what we learn from the story of Tirupan Alvar. Tirupan Alvar performed Sharanagati to Bhagavan and Bhagavan accepted him. The work of Tirupan Alvar, Amalanadipiran, that Amalanadipiran is also teaching us only about that Sharanagati. So, we accept the Vedic teaching. The ancient Vedas have taught about this. Vedas have talked about Archavatara. Vedas have talked about Sharanagati. Vedas have talked about Bhakti. It is untrue that Vedas have not talked about any of these concepts. All of these concepts are already there in the Vedas. So, even though he did not undergo formal Vedic training, by nature, he had so much bhakti, and his composition, even though it did not come from formal study of the Vedas or even informal study of the Vedas or whatever, he did not study, right? These concepts. These were things that he realized by himself, and all of them were true. Oh, but if Tirupanalvar wants, he can write without learning the Vedas. Why can't I write? He can write because he was a great saint, and whatever he wrote is correct. If I write by myself, I might write something fanciful that is coming out of my imagination. What I write might not be factual. So the works of the Alvars, the works of great Acharyas, they all carry weight, even if they are simple, even if they come from people who did not have formal adhyayana. Nammalvar, when did he undergo adhyayana? Huh? Nammalvar did not go adhyayana. He did not undergo adhyayana. Yet when Madhurakavi Alvar met him, Nammalvar gave the correct answer. Oh, if Nammalvar can do it, then why can't I? No, I cannot compare myself with Nammalvar. He was the perfect saint. He was the perfect devotee. Tirupan Alvar was the perfect devotee. They give us ideal examples. We should try to be like them. We should celebrate them. Like in Munivahana Bhoga, what do people do? They carry. So a Brahmana priest at the temple, he carries a person of the last Varna towards the temple. That practice is still there. It is still celebrated with great pride and happiness. There is nothing wrong in carrying a person of a different Varna as long as he is a Bhakta. If he is a pure Bhakta, you don't have to see his Varna. The closeness towards Bhagavan is measured in terms of bhakti and not in anything else. That is the message for today. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. Okay, no question is coming. So we will conclude the class here. Shivatsam Shikashodhi Kostubhasya Shivasaragama Gurustanayam Patasha Vidyavapya Bhuttamataధారం Vedardi Guru Karunakarathyam Kavitarkya Simhaya Kalyana Gunashadine Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha. Thank you for attending.